good evening, Titan Nation. How is everybody?
What's going on, Titan Nation? As y'all can see on the screen, today's subject, we're going to talk about hot seat coaches, the Tank Bowl 2024. We're going to be talking about Brian Callahan, was kind of put on the hot seat a little bit. And also Doug Peterson is on the hot seat as well. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to get into a little bit about the Commanders game. And we're going to talk about the Commanders, and we're definitely going to talk about the game against the Jaguars coming up. So let's get right into that. Everybody, welcome in to TNT tonight. I am your host, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, aka The Truth. Got a question. Did you miss me? Well, I know I have been away for a minute. I know it's been about 2 weeks. I gave everybody the Thanksgiving holiday. Had to spend time with family, which was actually very, very good. Was glad to see the family and see everybody and everything. Got to watch a little bit of football. Unfortunately, got to watch some embarrassing football that the Tennessee Titans played, which we'll get into that in just a moment. But make sure y'all go ahead and share this show out. Let everybody know where they can go and everything. And also make sure you hit that like button, smash that like button for me. And also smash that subscribe button as well. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell and hit all under your notifications so that way you know when I do go live. But again, definitely make sure you also hit that like button. That helps the algorithm. That helps me, and it makes sure that the show gets out to more people so more people can come in and enjoy the best Titans content in the world, which is Titans and Truth. Because we are here to tell the truth exactly the way it is. And then, of course, definitely make sure you follow on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. And so we're definitely going to go ahead and get into it as we're going to talk about this game. The Commanders. I mean, it was a butt kicker from the get-go, and let's just quickly get through this. The game was out of hand by the time the second quarter got started, so it was already over. I wasn't even really interested in finishing the rest of the game because it was just that bad. I mean, it was awful from the word go. And there was a lot that went wrong and very little that went right in this game. And I mean, they got thoroughly outclassed, outplayed, outgunned, all of that in one fell swoop. And it hurts. It really, really hurts that happened because I thought this team was going to be able to put on a little bit better of a performance than they did. And it was very, very telling of everything that's been going on with this Tennessee Titan team. I mean, there was a lot that went wrong in this game. And so let's get right into what I like to call the good, the bad, and the god awful. And again, they lose 42-19 to the Commanders. They were down 28-0 early in the second quarter. And there was really no coming back from that. Once really getting to that second quarter, they were down 21-0. I knew the game was over. There was no coming back from it. There was really nothing that the Titans could have done that would have changed their fortunes with that. But there was a little good that came out of this game. And one would have to be Will Levis was not the reason they lost this game. Will Levis was not the reason the Tennessee Titans lost this game. And He does continue to stack decent performances together, albeit not franchise quarterback making games, but enough to where he's just okay. And maybe this is me settling. I really don't think Will Levis should be the quarterback going forward in 2025. I think we need to look in a different direction. Only problem is because you beat Houston, you might have cost yourself a chance at Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. And now you may have to settle for going back to Will Levis. You may have to settle going back to Will Levis for at least another year. And so, he didn't have mind-blowing stats. 18 of 37, 212 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, was only sacked twice. Didn't throw no dumb interceptions. He tried to do a lot better getting out of the pocket and trying to avoid sacks, which I think is a nice step up. But again, it was not anything game-breaking. It wasn't anything that was, oh my God, this dude is the guy going forward. It wasn't anything of that nature, of that ilk, so to speak. But Will Levis definitely was not the reason the Tennessee Titans lost this game and were obliterated in this game. Another thing is the old question. What does NWI do? All NWI do is catch touchdowns. That's all NWI does. TD will always refer to NWI as that old Honda Accord. Reliable. A reliable vehicle. But Tyke Tolbert, the wide receivers coach, has now basically upgraded NWI to like a Mercedes-Benz. Now, I mean, Mercedes-Benz are richer cars, but NWI is just reliable. If nothing else, he catches touchdowns. He's like 3rd in the league in touchdown catches, and yet has, I believe, with the leading receivers, he has like 40, 50 catches less than everybody else, but has like 8 touchdowns. He only has like 20 catches on the year, but 8 of them have went for touchdowns. And that's crazy. Like Jamar Chase has 8 touchdowns, and I believe he has close to 70 catches already. And he has like 8 scores. Kittle, I think, has 8 scores, and he has like 50. NWI only has 20. And yet was very, very impressive. P-Pay was like, I was drunk before halftime. I understand. And he said it was a lot of drop passes too. He's improved since he came back. He can be serviceable. Now, and that is correct. That was absolutely correct. Brandon is right on that one. There were a lot of drop passes. His other receivers really let him down. Ridley had, I think, a drop or so. Tony Pollard had a couple of bad drops. And so the rest of his receivers really let him down. Definitely. So I 100% agree with that. But all NWI does is catch touchdowns. And that is a good thing to see. And I think he might have earned himself at least an extension for another year. I would definitely consider bringing him back. The bad. The run defense gets exposed. The run defense has been getting exposed. Even when it seems like everybody else does their job, there's one person that does not. Like, I called into Stillman and Company and talked to TD. And, he was basically describing the Brian Robinson 40-yard touchdown pass in the first touchdown run in the first quarter. And what he said was, everybody did their job right. The safety was supposed to come up and fill the hole. It didn't. And that's how he got away and ended up in the end zone 40 yards out. Um, I don't know if it's an issue of gap responsibility or winning your battles up front, but there is a definite leak in the run defense that needs to be fixed. And because this used to be a staple of this Tennessee Titans team was the run defense. You would think with Big Jeff and Tavondre Sweat up front, maybe with a Sebastian Joseph Day, that the run defense should be major, really, really good. And that just has not been the case. It has not come to fruition when it comes to that. And so that is an issue that the Tennessee Titans are going to have to find a way to shore up, because I think they could be better than what they've shown in the run game. They're still number one against the pass, and I believe they're still the second overall defense in the league, and I believe they're like middle of the pack as far as run defense is concerned. I believe it's 16. But they got gashed for over 200 yards rushing in this game against Washington. Now, with Brian Robinson, I believe also Chris Rodriguez. Like, Brian Robinson had 103 yards. Chris Rodriguez had 94. So that's kind of embarrassing for a run defense. Jaden Daniels did his thing, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw an interception. But other than that, I mean, again, that run defense, we got to find a way to shore it up, because that is a major problem. Even though Daryl Worley had 17 tackles, Kenneth Murray had 10. A lot of those were not for losses. A lot of times they were getting gained. They only had 3 tackles for loss in this game. That needs to be more. That needs to be a lot more than that. So Titans got work to do. They definitely have work to do, and they really need to figure out this run defense. Chidobe Awuzie coming back might help with the pass defense as well. So that's a very good thing. Although Tavondre Sweat has been down for just a bit. We don't know what his status is going to be. But the Tennessee Titans have 5 weeks, and they got to really figure some things out, and they're going to have to figure it out fast when it comes to this. But then the god-awful. And the god-awful is just there were way too many mistakes, way too many turnovers. Whether it be Tony Pollard fumbling the football, Jaquan Jackson fumbling on a punt. I mean, there was just so many glaring mistakes that the Tennessee Titans made. I mean, penalties everywhere, very undisciplined. It just led to an overall absolutely horrific performance by the team overall. And so that's everybody. Levis was kind of off with Ridley a little bit in this game. Tony Pollard probably had his worst game as a Tennessee Titan. Honestly, he fumbled the ball. Jaquan fumbled the football as well. I mean, it was just not a good performance at all by anybody, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they had their issues, which I want to say a lot of it is due to just being put in bad positions by special teams or anything like that, but it's still no excuse. This is just an overall bad performance by everybody. Just way too many mistakes, very uncharacteristic, very undisciplined. And, this penalty thing is really, there's got to be a solution to the penalty issue. And, as much as I don't like talking about Mike Vrabel, as much as I don't like talking about Mike Vrabel, the thing about it is he had a disciplined football team. You wouldn't have these back-to-back games where you have, 8, 9, 10, 12 plus penalties in a game. It's very unheard of. We had it. That was one thing about Mike Vrabel coach teams. You're going to be disciplined. Right now, this team is very undisciplined. And, Brian Callahan, I think, seems to be like a player's coach, maybe a little bit too much of a player's coach. And you need to have a little bit of a disciplinarian in you at some point to really hold these guys accountable. And that's something that really is going to have to be done going forward in the future. I'm really not going to go into stock up, stock down, because a lot of people's stock is down, and there's not too many people's stock that's up. Even though Levis's stock is kind of going up, NWI stock is going up, definitely. But the two-tone blue star of the week, I kind of thought about this, and there's really not much of a choice, especially what he's done in the last few games. You got to go with the Honda Accord turn Mercedes-Benz NWI. Forget Honda Accord, forget, Mercedes-Benz MBZ, forget BMW. Let's go NWI. And I said it on their show. It's like, if Honda Accord's ever going to recall, I mean, NWI, he out of there. Because, you got, whenever there's a recall on a car, it's like you got to take it back to the dealership and get it fixed, and everything. But NWI is all reliable. He is always answering the call. And that is amazing. Definitely. So, shout out to NWI as the two-tone blue star of the week. Dunce of the day. I gotta go with Big Jeff. And I go with this because he's had some struggles this year, but it's also the comments made after this game. Basically, a lot of guys were making excuses about this game, basically saying, they had a hangover from the victory over Houston and things like that. And I'm like, that's a bunch of BS. You should not have a hangover over a victory. You haven't had that many wins. And the fact of the matter is, even though you win a game, you celebrated that night. And then the very next day, that game is over, gone. You should be moving on to the next game. After that victory against Houston, that very next Monday, you should have been all focused on the Commanders. That Texan victory no longer exists. Just like now the Commanders' loss no longer exists. They should be focused solely on the Jags. And so the fact that you come up with those excuses, which the excuses are monuments of nothingness. They are tools of the incompetent. They lead you to nothing. And only incompetent tools make excuses. So are you heading into nothing or are you incompetent? Which one is it? You need to be neither. Stop being incompetent. Own up to the fact that you were just not ready to play and you got your butts kicked. Enough said. So that's why I have to give dunce of the day to Big Jeff on that. I know he wasn't the only one saying that, but he was the main culprit that I heard that did say that. But let's move on and talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. We have a game coming up Sunday. We're going to definitely talk about that. But I want to talk about, before we do get into the Jags, I forgot to mention. So right now, Bill Barnwell of ESPN put out an article talking about coaches that could be on the hot seat. that could potentially get fired after this season. One of them was a head coach that we're going to be playing Sunday in Doug Peterson. Another is our head coach, Brian Callahan. And basically, put it in there, and in this article that I see this on Sports Illustrated talking about that, and Sports Illustrated basically saying there's actually much more pressing issues than putting the coach on the hot seat. I understand this is a bad year. You're trying to find out if Will Levis is the quarterback. You said you were going to compete, trying to make the playoffs. You're nowhere near that. There's been issues with injuries, with L'Jarius Sneed being down. Chidobe Awuzie looks like he's going to be coming back, which is a good sign. But there's a lot of issues. And Brandon's saying, that's coaching. Coaching is a problem. I am not going to shy away from that. Now, has Brian Callahan been a good coach this year? Absolutely not. Should he be back as the Tennessee Titan coach in 2025? Yes, he should. I think he should at least get another year, because even he said it, that the first year is going to be the toughest year. Imagine where Detroit would be right now if they gave up on Dan Campbell after the first year, where I believe they were like 0-8 or 1-8, and then they finished the year pretty strong. And I believe got to 6-11 or 7-10 or something like that. I can't remember the record. But what would have happened if Detroit fired Dan Campbell after his first season? Detroit would be nowhere near where they are now. Now, again, I am not saying that Brian Callahan is going to all of a sudden turn to Dan Campbell, but that could definitely be the litmus test, so to speak. What's up, Over Chicken? What's going on? Ty Hugo says coaching has been bad all around. Denard Wilson, I think, is sour, because I think a lot of people thought, oh, yeah, he's going to definitely be a head coach next year. And I think Denard Wilson has some good head coaching capabilities. But right now, show up this defense first. Definitely. Overchicken said, Callie has been bad this year, but he has been bad this year, but deserves another shot. Callie has shown some interesting things, but he's got to fix second half offense. Now, that I do agree. And Overchicken says, Denard's taking a step down the last 2 to 3 weeks. I can't disagree with that. So you have to give Brian and Levis another year together. That could be both true and false. I think Brian definitely deserves another year. Levis, I'm not so sure about. I mean, the only way I would give Levis another year is if you have absolutely no shot at Shedeur or Cam Ward. If you have a shot at one of those two quarterbacks, I'm taking them. Bye-bye, Levis. But if you can't get a shot at either one of those quarterbacks, by default, as much as I don't believe in Will Levis, you got to bring him back. You really don't have much of a choice. So, there's a lot of pressing issues, but coaching is one, because, I mean, you start off slow in the first quarter, but you kind of find your footing, and you do okay in the first half. The only problem is second half is troublesome. And Brian Callahan has not been shown to be very good at making adjustments. And I've said this many times before. You got to be able to not only make adjustments from the first half to the second half. You got to be able to make adjustments from the first quarter to the second quarter to the third quarter to the fourth quarter. but you also got to be able to make adjustments series to series. And even at times, you got to make adjustments play to play. You see a play, maybe that didn't work, but it's like, okay, you know what? If we see this coverage again, we know what to do. So I don't think Brian Callahan should be fired after this year, but I think next year going in, yeah, that seat's going to be pretty warm to hot. I agree. Ty Hugo said he needs to fire his friend, the special team coach. I absolutely agree with that. Do you think they will keep Will Levis after the season or not? I'm curious. Again, just like I said, if it were me, if I have no shot at Shador or Cam Ward, most likely I'm keeping Will Levis because I really don't see any other quarterback in this draft that's going to be able to do anything. Carson Beck, no. Drew Adar at Penn State, no. I honestly don't see any other quarterbacks. Nussmeier down at LSU, no. I really don't see any other option other than that. TD mentioned maybe you bring Jameis Winston from Cleveland to maybe challenge Will Levis, but I don't think Cleveland's going to let Jameis walk. And I mean, I would not, and he said I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back Mason Rudolph, which I wouldn't be too opposed to that either. Quarterback, is your biggest question, but it is not your biggest issue. But I mean, as Barnwell has said, and others say it, even though he does deserve another chance, this is a business. This is the NFL. It stands for not for long. This is a what have you done for me lately league. And right now, what have you done for me lately? 3-9. Not good. Louis Chestnut being delusional. Playoff fever is alive. Playoff fever is dead. It's dead. There is no playoff fever. If you're talking about the rest of the NFL, yeah, there is. There's a game tonight that's got some playoff fever. Detroit and Green Bay. That's got playoff fever. Titans do not. Sorry for you. It's over. But let's get into this Jags game really quick and talk about that. As of right now, the Titans are a 3.5-point favorite. That could very well change. And Trevor Lawrence, of course, suffered an injury, definitely on the hit from Azeez Al-Shire, which he's suspended for 3 games, but he's appealing that. And from what we hear, thanks to the Players Union, Ramon Foster, who is a host on 104.5 The Zone, also works for the Tennessee Titans. He's going to be assigned to, I guess, listen to Aziz's appeal, which I found that weird. I'm not sure exactly how that, what all that entails. But it's very interesting that is the case. But I'm really not going to get into all that because that's something that's way above my pay grade. I really don't understand all of that. Levis has only won 1 game this year. Mason won the first 2 games. That's very true. That's very true. Overjig says, Sunday is my birthday. I got to watch the Jags Titans on my birthday. I'm actually going to be up the following week for the Titans Bengals game. So I'm definitely going up for that. My brother's coming in from Florida. He wants to see his favorite team play in Cincinnati. So we're definitely gonna go watch that game, most definitely. But the Titans right now are limping into this game after that bad loss, and we are gonna have the Blue Enforcer 4 points to victory. How can the Titans win this game? Or at least compete in this game? Number one, you just gotta play good football. Because they did not do that last week against the Commanders. They did not do that on Sunday at all. They did not play good football in any phase whatsoever. None. They did not play any good football. And you just got to play good football in offense, defense, and special teams. You have got to play some good ball. That means taking care of the football. That means not just Will Levis throwing an interception, but securing the football. Don't fumble it. You got to be sound defensively. Shore up the gaps. Tackle. You have got to secure tackles. Cause some more turnovers. Amani Hooker had an interception. Picked off Jaden Daniels, which he has been tremendous. 4 interceptions, leads the team. Top 10 in the league in that area. So just play some good football. Number 2, have some sort of discipline. Have some sort of discipline. Donzel86 says Levin's a legit tight end. But who's out there that's going to be a legit tight end? I mean, I guess they wanted to work with Chig, but he's a hit or miss. Definitely. But I can see them looking into something like that. 2, have some sort of discipline, because that has been a major issue for this Tennessee Titans football team is discipline. They have got to find a way to stop with the penalties. And, there was a skirmish, I believe, in D.C., and it's like, look, don't be causing those skirmishes. And even if there is one, you go and get your players back and get them out of the way, because you don't need any unnecessary penalties. Discipline needs to be addressed, and that is something that this team is severely lacking. They must have some sort of discipline if they're going to win this game. If they lose the penalty battle, if they have way more penalties than the Jags, they're not going to win. Refs are a lot more ticky-tack now. Number 3, tighten up and fill the gaps in the run game. Do your job. Fill the holes, secure tackles. There needs to be more tackles for loss. T'Vondre Sweat could be a little bit better than he is. Big Jeff could be a little bit better than he is. I said it before. Everybody was talking about, oh my God, Harold Landry should have this breakout year. I'm like, let's check in a few weeks. He hasn't hit the quarterback very much. Arden Key, yeah, he had 1.5 sacks against the Commanders. But you need to do a little bit more to lead it for that to help this defense. Like right now, Arden Key has 6.5 sacks. Harold Landry just has 6. Harold Landry's got to have at least average a sack a game if he's going to at least get to double digits. Because right now, he ain't justifying his contract right now. And last but not least, don't have a total meltdown. Just like you can have a hangover from a win, you can have a meltdown from a loss. Because it could be like a snowball effect, avalanche. Once that ball starts rolling down the hill or down a mountain, it is very difficult to stop it. Almost impossible. So the Tennessee Titans are going to have to find a way to not have this snowball into something worse. Because it very well could. And so the Titans are going to have to find a way to focus and get back to playing better football in front of the home crowd. And the Tennessee Titans have not fared well at home either. They're going to have to find a way to get it done at home. Because if memory serves me correct, we only have one home win on the season so far. And that was against the Patriots. We have not fared well at home. And so that home cooking has to help. And also, bad news on the Titans front. Obviously, Treylon Burks, who had been on injured reserve, thought maybe he would come back. Well, that's not going to happen. Had to have surgery on his ACL. Treylon Burks is done once again for the season, and he is probably 9 times out of 10, he's done as a Tennessee Titan. It is over, and I mean a absolutely tragic career as a Tennessee Titan, especially after you traded A.J. Brown, and this is the guy you drafted, figuring he was going to replace A.J. or at least become A.J.-esque. And so it is disappointing. It's extremely, extremely disappointing how all of this is unfolded for Treylon Burks. I mean, again, I would not have traded A.J. Brown, in all honesty. I would not have traded him. So, but that's just me. I would not have traded A.J. Brown. But I think that's going to just about do it for tonight's show. I'm trying to think of anything else that I might be missing. And congratulations to Big Jeff being nominated for Walter Payton Man of the Year for the Tennessee Titans. Definitely honor well deserved. But I need you to get some sacks. Let's get it done. But everybody, I think that's gonna just about do it for Titans and Truth tonight. Also, I forgot to mention, congratulations. The Memphis Tigers, both the football team and the basketball team are ranked right now. The Tigers football team is 25th, but they're going to end up in the the Frisco Bowl in Texas, where they're going to be taking on West Virginia. In all fairness, what did we do for Treylon? Not much, because Treylon came in out of shape. Then he kept getting injured. And I mean, the only thing is they didn't really get him involved. Do you think we will resign NWI to the money he won? I mean, if they're smart, I would consider it. Louis says Titans win Sunday, keep playoff hopes alive. The playoffs are done, Louis. Get over it. They're not going to the playoffs. They are pretty much eliminated from the playoffs. It's not happening. It's over. It's over and done with. We're already guaranteed a losing season. Exactly, Wizardry. Playoffs? You kidding me? And so also the Tiger basketball team ranked as well. Definitely ranked. So definitely shout out definitely shout out to the Memphis Tigers. And of course the basketball team 16th in the country as well. So everybody, thank y'all for tuning in to TNT tonight. I'm your man Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. I hope y'all have a very good rest of y'all evening. I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving as we roll towards Christmas. And I will get with y'all. We will have a post game. We will definitely have a post game this time. I won't fail you. I've failed you the last few weeks. Been working a lot because I work another job. And on days that I have to work on Sunday, I do not do the live stream because, I try to rest so I can be prepared for work. But will have a post game. So be in tune for that. Y'all have a good night. Holla, tighten up. Because that's all we know how to do. Good night, y'all.